With your office bar being at your home, how do you protect your personal privacy? I love this question. It means a lot to me. So backing up a quick step, I am recording and reporting to you live from the office bar, which is a shed that Mike built for me in the backyard. Quick backstory. A lot of folks, especially on my newsletter and following my blog, will know that in 2013 and 2014, my parents passed away. And Mike and I decided to move into my childhood home in Los Angeles in January 2015. And one of the very first things I realized was, oh my gosh, I cannot work in here. There's too many memories. I couldn't work in the house. I couldn't create. I couldn't feel inspired or energized. So we have the good fortune of a decent sized backyard for Los Angeles, and over 2 or 3 weeks, Mike built this shed, and it's fully insulated, and I've got whiteboard walls all around me, and it is this ultimate creation space. And from that sanctuary, I started to get really excited about how your physical workspaces affect your productivity and your creativity, and how you're able to work at your very best. Okay, so that's the office bar. That's why I'm here. Back to the question. Personal privacy. Boy, this is a loaded question, but there are a few things. So on social media, I am very personally inactive as a choice. I choose to spend most of my time with IRL, like in real life friends, and folks on the community and my teams. So a lot of my personal activity, social activity, happens not online but offline, or not in the public but in private. Facebook has had some very interesting data moments over the last year, and I'll be very delicate about how I say that. I have my personal opinions about how Facebook uses and abuses customer data, but that was, so the first thing I do is on all of these social media networks, I make a special effort to go to the privacy settings, and I tailor every single thing I can to make sure that folks aren't seeing what I don't want them to see. The other end of that is I'm also not sharing things I don't want other people to see or talk about. So a lot of the really juicy stuff often happens in the community or in real life. A lot of my friends, especially my colleagues that I work with, we rarely take photos even or post on social media when we're out together. So there's that little social element too, where I don't want to be the one posting when no one else is posting about our night out. So there's a little bit of secrecy and mystery in there. Now, the real stuff. Billy and Rosemina use a magical tool called Buffer to schedule out the ridiculously efficient social media posts ahead of time. So we've come up with a plan and, different types of posts that happen at different intervals. And I will post a real life photo from travels and a real caption. Everything has actually happened. Nothing is manufactured, but it might go up 2 weeks after it actually happened. And that is, as Mike would say from his Army days, that's OPSEC, operational security, where, you don't want to make obvious, if you're posting about being on vacation, a robber or someone up to no good could very easily determine exactly where you are, or that you're not from home, and use that opportunity to check things out a little bit. So I try and minimize the possibility of that happening. So those are a couple things. And it's really about maintaining vigilance over how technology might be used to unwittingly sort of document what's going on and surveillance. I recently saw an ultra high resolution photo that was taken from a surveillance camera at the top of a Chinese skyscraper. I believe it was in Shanghai. And you can zoom in so far. I want to say it was like it was just an enormous 111 megapixel photo, something like that. But you could keep on, it was a far away sort of ambient environmental shot, but you could zoom all the way in to someone's face. And so I think about this. My Peter life is very involved in technology. And I think about a day, where those types of cameras are on every building. In San Diego, they are already doing a pilot with smart streetlights that can listen to the ambient noise around for gunshots, for sounds that indicate crime is happening or about to happen. And those sorts of things, of course, it's meant for good, but when I think about personal privacy, it's also about stuff like that. So in the future, perhaps the only truly private place we have is our homes. Now, a lot of us have smart home devices like Amazon Alexa or an Echo or Google Home or Apple and all this madness. The kicker is those things are always listening. Have you ever had a conversation with someone about a product and then you are then marketed, like you see that product in your Instagram feed in the ads? Because I have, and it's creepy. So I try and minimize that as much as possible. And there's a mute button on the Amazon Echo, and I push that. Sometimes we unplug it. And actually the smart TVs as well have that like voice capability. So, if you're really concerned about personal privacy and you're having that moment, unplug that stuff. I've had conversations with Mike in the kitchen, which, I'll call it an elevated vocal tone. We're not yelling, we're not shouting or anything, but we're having fun and maybe we're mimicking or acting out a scenario that we're seeing and using silly voice. And we have heard the Amazon Echo beep, burp. So, I've also read some stories about how an Echo has heard crimes happening within a house and called the cops. If you are not okay with that sort of thing happening, unplug that stuff. And if you trust that Amazon will, mute you when you push the mute button, that's one thing. But if you want to be sure, you can unplug it.